Okay, my friends, here's what it's come to. I have 100% evidence to prove what I'm saying. I took blood, which is really excellent quality blood from that, sent that off to have it tested at the lab, and DNA extraction was done. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. Well, almost 7 years ago. It was 2015. And it came back, and I had two other things done as well. Now, I spoke about menticide, which is brainwashing. That's basically just over and over. But this is intimidation. They won't let the kids speak about this because they cannot defend themselves. I have the specimens. I have the DNA reports. I have the CAT scans. I have the chemistry. And this was done 7 years ago. And it's not allowed by students to speak of this in their classes, and they're told that they have to say exactly what their teachers told them to say, or they will fail them, and they will literally destroy their lives and impact the quality of their life drastically. Excellent quality DNA sequences were intended from the 36 inches in the lung, which is what I just showed you. 36-inch fingertip was from a fingertip 36 inches long, shown it over and over. That is what came back. I extracted the DNA. I sent it to them, and it was in the form of almost raw blood, excellent quality and dense. And this is a certified test from a certified lab, and it was done by Helix and Eaton Bio Labs. They did the blast or whatever, but the extraction was done with extreme quality. This guy, very, very good. And I worked with them because this was the first one that was ever done to try to extract blood from rocks. And trust me, blood gushes from rocks. And I've proven this. And the kids are not allowed to speak of this. They present it to the teacher. Can you talk to me about this? And they, why was blood extracted from a lung like this when you say that can't happen? It's because we say it can't happen, so don't talk about it again. Why is this goose turned in and his feathers are still here and everything? Why is that? How did that happen? Don't talk about that again. If you do, you're going to have to go sit in a corner. And that's what's happening. And I fully understand the biology, I understand the chemistry, I understand nucleophilic substitution, which causes this to happen. I understand it's the collagens that bond with the aluminum silicates to form a barrier, and then that barrier is impregnated by other biomolecules that come and go. It's called nucleophilic invasion and substitution. I've done all the work long ago, and the kids their minds are being destroyed because now they're starting to speak. And when they do, they're being told to be quiet, that's bullying. That is not acceptable anymore. They cannot get away with this anymore. That's a bone. That's not a stone. They say, oh, that's a stone. Well, yeah, it's a rock. Yes, absolutely. But it was a bone at one time. And I know the process of why it is what it is right now. And there is still a taste of bone right there. The tiniest little bit of bone. However, this is not allowed. And I tried to present this to Yale University 10 years ago. And they still refuse to look at it. So does Harvard. So does all of them. So what do the kids do? Right now, I see this as a very, very serious issue. Okay, so we know we have a problem here with geology and history for certain, because I understand the way carbon does not fix. So carbon dating of all of these things is nonsense. Carbon flows right through these things called capillary action. Anytime there's any moisture whatsoever, it's wicked out. Now let's go into the light experiments that I have been showing for years and years now. Fermilab is looking for muons. And this goes back to 2011. And I've contacted Don Lincoln, and we went back and forth for quite a bit. And finally he dismissed me because I'm not peer-reviewed. But let me show you what I did present. And I can't understand why peer review has anything to do with it. Now, this is actually an article by Don Lincoln. This is in 2013, Quantum Foam, and I agree with it 100%. The universe is saturated with light particles. I'll show you in a second. This is Don Lincoln. The quantum foam is real. The microcosm is in continual motion. There's all kinds of stuff. He says even in the farthest way you can get away from anywhere, is still this quantum foam, which is all the particles in space. And they come from light. Let me show you the light research we did. No, I want you to know I'm not a novice at this. This goes back to 1970 when I was doing all the research on light and energy and heat and all of that stuff. And the transfer of energy is from light to atomic vapor. It's actually subatomic vapor. I put that, therefore, Rutherford's atom was wrong, Bohr's postulates was wrong, and I trust me, I did a lot of this. I mean, I did everything you could do in chemistry and physics and bonding and dipole moments and all this. This was a paper I wrote that showed there was nothing but dipoles. There's nothing but dipoles. There's no way in the world you can have a big gigantic positive center and little tiny electrons. And I went all the way into thermochemistry and the whole 9 yards. So chemistry and thermochemistry, and I mean, there's nothing I didn't do. And I still do this to this very day. I've been doing it for my whole life. So I can stand up to anybody. And this is what I have determined to be the true nature of light. Let's take a look at it. Okay, I mentioned about Don Lincoln speaking about the quantum foam. Well, I'm going to show you again another thing he spoke about, which was these point particles and fixed particles. The point particles are these ones that can get bigger and smaller, which is the electron neutrino. And the fixed particle is the muon neutrino. It does not change size. This one, as it comes in about the same size as the muon neutrino, it turns into a shower, the white. The black balls just stay black balls and they go around. And I can show them actually as the black and white balls that they are. All right, here they are. This is what concussed and divided. And that one there is fixed, exactly like Don Lincoln says. And this is like two electrons together. Electrons are dipoles. That was I said it was atomic vapor, subatomic vapor. Is nothing more than dipoles, which are the smallest little piece. These are the smallest pieces of matter that I can find. And they would agree with that, I'm sure, CERN, because they're saying these are muons and electron neutrinos. And then they create the muons and electron showers. Exactly what I showed. I'm going to go back. This is the entire electron flood theory. It's as simple as this. They make everything so complicated they don't understand everything is a dipole. Now let me elaborate a little bit. All right, so I showed you the particle was all boxed together here, and then it just exploded and split. That's what's called fission. In the subatomic realm, it was fission. And then it came back together here and it turned back into light. That's fusion. In between is something else, and I think is raw energy. And I think we can tap that to get free energy and free power and never have to buy gasoline again. Using lasers to create this extreme amount of energy and then harvest these electron neutrinos and muons and whatever, because this is supposedly 200 times increase from what we started with, which was just a basic light. Light is light. It was laser light, and then this Venturi forced it to divide. It forced it into fission and back into fusion. That's a forced division cold. We added no extra energy to do that job. Just so you see, green is the same as the red, only it's a little more powerful. And here it is in a trail. You see, as it comes out, it displays here. And this one looks like it's in the midst of being going to spin, because they do what they call a Muon Wobble. The white one here, which is in the front here too, will switch to the back, and that white one will come in the front. Because the leading white one is the one that gets more concussion, and then that grows in potential, and then it has to spin, and then the one that was behind, it had no potential to it, comes in front and starts to concuss. And that's how the Muon Wobble works. Now, let's look at how we got to that. I'm going to pretty much show you mostly red here. The blue is the same, though. You see blue here? Coming in wide here? Well, actually, this is coming out wide. This is coming in hot. See how it's coming in almost a straight line, and then it just because it's spinning. That's all the same particle. All right, and the same thing here. We're looking basically the same particles moving now. So this particle basically is the same particle, but the front of the wave is where the particle exists right now. And it is concussing its field, magnetic field, just like you take two magnets if they get opposing fields, which there's a, boy, I can't remember the name of Casimir, I think it might be Casimir effect, which is when the electrons push other electrons. Nothing will push against each other tightly because the electrons at that very, very close level will push each other away. Yeah, I think it's Casimir effect. Anyway, as this is coming through, all these have to get out of the way. That's why they glow a little bit, but this is pushing, these are shoving back, the shovers get out of the way, and this one just keeps going. Now, we put it through a Venturi, and that's where it's separated. Remember I showed you the black and the white separated here? Well, those were the black and white, same thing, same as the red. These are the black and white of the, I'm sorry, the same as the green. These are the black and white of the red particles. And you can see that particle is accelerating. And right here it starts to really grow in intensity. See, it starts to get really white here. Let me get a closer shot. This is kind of really interesting, I think. To me it is. And this is the Higgs fields that show right here. Right here, you see? It comes white. This is the white. And then all of a sudden, pow! And this is pow right out here where it's whacking into other particles. Now this one here is a really unusual one. It should have stayed red. It didn't because it's being squished from the sides. We can crush these fields with other particles. And the crazy thing is, I was just seeing, can light bump into other light? Yeah, absolutely. I can prove that. In many, many ways. I have pictures coming out of my ears. All right. Whenever you have concussion or impact, you have a wave. That's why you see all these waves. And they always said wave-particle duality. They couldn't figure it out. Well, it's a magnetic particle that creates the wave in front of it, pushes everything out of its way. Because everything else has electrons. So everything is being pushed. Now, when this explosion happened, the backwards flow was just absolutely unbelievable. These, you don't even see these waves because they're just not impactful enough to be seen. However, this is impacting them backwards and they radiate glow like they're on fire. This is an absolutely astounding increase visually of the energy that was here. There's just no question. You look at this and you can't even hardly see it. Back here where it started, before it started to accelerate, the particle it just doesn't look like it doesn't exist. And then all of a sudden, zoom. Now, if that is an acceleration, I don't know what to say. It may not be acceleration. You say anything you want because they say, "Oh, that's not acceleration. That's just diffraction. It's distribution. Blah 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 blah." It's whatever. It's unbelievable how blind-minded a physicist can be. They said it's impossible because light can't accelerate. I said, of course it can accelerate. It looks like it's to me. And then the discussion's over because I'm not accepting their premise. And I can't accept their premise of the standard model either. The standard model's not right. Standard model says there's one big gigantic positive in the center, like this, and little tiny electrons around it. No, I say that's not true at all. I say the center is like this, which is all electrons on stable quantities. They become stable at certain periods, they call it, periodicity. And it appears to be around 1840 electrons. Every 1840 adds another period of stability. I can't really say why. It has something to do with a basic humming of the background. You can see it with salt table experiments if you want to look it up. Salt table vibration experiments. You'll see them go beep, and all of a sudden it'll lock in. They'll be just bouncing everywhere and boop, it'll lock in at a certain pattern. And the patterns are elegant and they show almost every one of them has the rule of 8, which is the 8 electrons that surrounds the core. And everything has to do with the vibration. Tesla said it. He says vibration is energy, basically. That's all it is. If there's no vibration, there's no energy. Right? You could lay these electrons laying all over this, and you're never going to see them. The only reason we can see these is because of the extreme luminosity and radiance. That's the only way we can see them. The CMOS, and we can see it with this. This is exactly what we used. This is the phones we used. Galaxy S3. It was in 2012 they put these out, and they were unbelievable. Rod still uses. I don't do many of the experiments anymore. I did a bunch of them, but he's so good. It's just this way I show you this stuff. Well, I probably show you 100 times already. But anyway, these phones, and they had a big article about it in 2014. They said they're using these phones to pick up cosmic radiation. See the cosmic radiation? We're right on top of the event, so he's seeing it right like a zillionth of an inch away. And I guess he was using the selfie part because it was giving him better resolution. I mean, absolutely phenomenal looking. And you see these way out here? I don't know if you can see that or not. That is backwards EMF, electromotive force. Boom! This is literally, not kidding you, this is a subatomic explosion on a desktop using no additional power whatsoever. Just a venturi right here, making the slit so small and so like a rounded venturi so that the fields had to crush each other and the blacks were too big to get through. Simple as that. And here it is, exactly what CERN and Fermilab, I think this is from Fermilab. This is exactly what they want to see, is exactly what I showed. These are the black ones right here. And see the size of them? See them? They don't mind being right next to each other either. They like being next to each other. Have no problem with it whatsoever. The white ones just nothing more than want to get away from each other. They are exploders, pushers, shovers, and I can show that too, and I have with the atomic bomb blast. No, not only that. Let me show you something else. And think how a kid's going to feel if he says, "What about this?" and the teacher says, "No, don't look at that." That wouldn't work for me. I'm basically like a kid in school too. I've been told by Don Lincoln and Fermilab, and every one of them, stay away from us, don't talk to us. I'm showing them the same particle they're looking for. There's the black one right there, fixed particle. Don Lincoln, this is an article from Don Lincoln. He said this is a fixed particle, does not change size, has a glowy little edge around it, which I'm seeing right there, and there's another one right here. There they are, and this is the energetic values. This one is a point particle. A point particle is not a fixed particle. Fixed never changes. This one goes big, small, all kinds, and you see it right here. And that's the only reason the white could squish right through our venturi. Therefore, we separated. We cause fission. Whenever together, they're fused together. There's all kinds of energetic values in here. There's a weak force and a strong force and all that stuff. When they get into their molecular atomic structure, where they're into the big pieces, you got some pretty strong forces going on in there. That's another thing we need to talk about. Which forces cause which forces? Because right now they don't understand this whatsoever. They have one huge core in the center instead of this, which is positive, and then they say there's one tiny little bit out there that's so small it doesn't even matter. And it's negative, and they go right together. Anyway, I've been fighting this fight for over 50 years. I've won, and I cannot speak. And if the kids speak, and they have been trying to speak, and they've been told, I actually got, actually NASA, Fermilab, a guy from Fermilab said to me, sent some information to me. He says, yeah, we had a big laugh at you on our 2019 big screen at our end of year or whatever it was, something like that, laughing about you. And basically just trying to insult me. And you just can't be helped. You won't listen to us, and all this stuff, because they know me at Fermilab quite well, trust me, and everywhere else too. I went to the University of Geneva for particle physics, and they did the same thing. I showed it to them. They said, "Oh, that's fab. Oh, that's unbelievable. We'll follow you on Facebook." I said, "You're kidding me," or YouTube, whatever it was. And no, that was it. So. And I went through Coursera, so I didn't have to pay them. So I could stand up and say something, and I did. And it ended up that I just said, you guys are not looking for reality. So I went on my way. And this is, if you could tell me that's not reality, This started from light. It started from a red pulse laser, literally this red pulse laser, a Bosch GLM-15. Beep, 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 beep. It measures distances. Then we put it through 2 finishing nails, just like that, beep, 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 which made the fields force their way through, and they came out the other side divided. The particle went in like that, it came out the other side divided. And then Rod and I took took all kinds of different shots all over the place to see what we were looking at. And he was much more suited for that than me. I don't have the patience. The amount of time he must have spent, I just can't even imagine. You just have no idea. We went on for, well, we're still going on now, but it's been 6, 7 years, 8 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. And we got all the evidence. I mean, evidence coming out of my ears. And I've been told not to bother them, that I'm not peer reviewed, so they can't discuss it. I said, well, will somebody peer review me? No, we won't. This was back in 2016. I said, dark matter is energy while it's traveling from the sun to the earth. That's the dark matter right there. The black one's dark matter. They're looking for all this stuff. I could prove it today. And the kids are forced to say, no, don't look at this stuff. This is not right. The same thing with the mud fossils. Very, very discouraging of the education system. You're going to have to stand up and say something. You got kids, you better stand up. They're just being mentocided. All right, you've seen the point particles and the fixed particles and my display of them, and that we can split them and create fission and fusion of these particles. That I can stand behind 100%. And we can do it with the green. Okay, my friends, so anyway, this is the new model of the, standard model. Is just not right. Bohr model just doesn't work at all. That gigantic positive in the center, no. All of them are made of balls of literally electrons, these particles together. And when you have an even number, it's a neutron. When you have an uneven number, it's a proton. It's a particle that either wants an extra electron or wants to get rid of one. Basically, that's it. That's how they bond together. And the only way they can bond together is this way. The other ways of bonding, they can sort of work it out, doing a bunch of gymnastics. Trust me, I did it right. I mean, I went through every one of them, and it never made sense to me. And I realized it just couldn't make sense until you went into a dipole particle. It had to be dipole. Anyway, that's water over the dam. Sort of. It's just, anyway. I showed the particles. I showed them. Now, is that worthy of being examined by somebody, Don Lincoln, who claimed these particles exist exactly, and the quantum foam exists exactly? And why do they think the Hubble Space Telescope is going to work without? Everything's moving through the quantum foam. They're looking for things slowing down because they say everything's going away from us. That's why, as it comes to us, everything has gone away, so it's not coming with the same speed it would. And the further it is away, the more to the redshift we see. I say no. I say the more stuff that's in the way of that particle coming at it, the more it gets bounced into, and it shifts into the red. Simple as that. So the Hubble looks over here, and there's dead space, and he sees something coming that says 1,000 miles away. He sees something over here, and it's narrow space, and it says it's 1,000,000 miles away. Well, who knows? All of these things that they are guessing about now are predicated on the fact of the standard model. Standard model does not work. I have proven this. Not guessing, no guess whatsoever. And I have shown the particles they're looking for. And the way they found those particles was exploding huge chunks of these things together and seeing these things go flying off and seeing a whole batch of little ones. Sometimes they see 4 or 5 of them at once, sometimes they see one, sometimes they two, 10, 20, and then they start to say, okay, we see a lot of these, so that's a primary particle. No, these are the primary particles, that one and that one. 2 of them together make what we would always call an electron. And the only one that really bangs into anything is the black one. The red one is the one that burns everything. I'll show it to you in 1 second. two of them back to back together as a photon. These will burn into you and snap into you, spark and electricity, lightning. These will bounce off you because they're back to back electrons. They're not wanting to fuse into you. They're already sort of together. Now, if we can't get to this, and if we can get to this, we have free energy, and we could do this literally within a month or so. If we could get somebody like Don Lincoln of Fermilab, who's been looking for all the particles I'm showing. This is what really is very, very hard to accept. That I could just be told to go away because I don't have the credentials that these people think are important, which is peer review. And because of peer review, nothing ever gets advanced, because if they step up, they're destroyed, just like I would be. And I am anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm not one of their peers. I am above them. They're so far down it doesn't matter to me. When somebody won't listen, they mean nothing to me. And that's exactly what's happened to academia. They absolutely mean nothing anymore. And the kids know this now. So how do the kids feel? This is a disaster. This is an absolute disaster. Okay, my friends, we have a really serious problem. I have been showing evidence to support everything that I have said, and kids are beginning to question their teachers, and they're being punished for it. Menticide is brainwashing, and it's a systemic and intentional undermining of a person's conscious mind. Conscious mind means to think. It's undermining their thought process. They say, don't speak of these things. You will be isolated from my classroom. And that is what I just heard about a 16-year-old kid and a couple of kids in the class. And it's happening everywhere now. I'm getting this quite a bit. I had a 13-year-old the other day. Well, he's just turned 13. And they told him the same thing. They said, don't you ever bring that up in here again. And once they say that, you're intimidated, and there's no way that you can speak up. So it's a suppression of it's brainwashing. Literally, it is brainwashing. It's saying, you say exactly what I tell you to say, or we will fail you, and you will basically destroy your life. And that's what a kid sees when they say, I'm going to fail you. And that's what they're going to do, is fail them. They tried to do that to me. I got out of the system.